Okay, we're off. The man with the pussy meets the man with the podcast. Look at the size of your muscles. I can't believe this. Okay, here we go. Yo, it's Ethan McKinley's Questionable. Hit the music. Ba, 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 ba. We're here with Buck Angel. I guess we shouldn't bury the lead, Buck. You're the man with the pussy, self-titled. You're a porn star, a film director, an award-winning porn star, I guess, a documentary filmmaker, a public speaker, a motivational speaker. Is there anything left you haven't done yet?
Wow, I'm a lot of things.
You're a lot of things. You're a man first and foremost. You're more manly than I am.
I don't know about that. We just met each other, so we'll have to figure that out later on.
Well, to anyone listening, if you've not heard of Buck Angel, basically, Buck was born a woman named Susan, right?
Yes.
And you've had this long and arduous journey to transition, I guess, into what you've become today. And you've even taken a step beyond that now, where I guess you're helping people with this new, I guess, social issue in a sense of transgender. There's a lot of kind of crazy words being thrown around now. You've got like gender pronouns, what is a man, what is a woman. There's a lot of PC cops jumping on the bandwagon. People like me are kind of scared of what language we can use. I guess tranny back in the day when I was young, it meant a guy who dresses as a woman. But I guess tranny is a bad word right now, or is it not? Because RuPaul said it's not and no one cares. But a lot of kind of like, I guess, social justice warriors jump on and I guess cloud the transgender issue. That's why I wanted to talk to you, I think, because it's a very complex kind of issue. And I guess you're the first and foremost person I could think of to kind of talk about that. I mean, you see a lot of trans porn where it's kind of a woman, obviously with a dick, but I guess no one until you came along had seen a man with a pussy, right?
Yeah, I'm the first man to ever put myself out into a pornographic image. Though there was a photographer named Lauren Cameron who did a book, A Trans Man, before I did my porn. And then there was another guy who did a little bit of porn up in San Francisco. But I'm the first really mainstream guy who really put it out there and really celebrated being a man with a vagina and calling myself the man with the pussy. So I really broke down a lot of barriers with that. But first, before we talk about my porn, I'd really like to go back to what you just said about the language police.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you more than anything. Obviously, you've done porn and stuff. But yeah, it's like you see it a lot on Facebook. If someone posts something, I guess when Bruce Jenner came out and became Caitlyn, it was like he's suddenly a hero. Anyone who has an alternative opinion, not that it's not supportive, I kind of completely support this. But it's shocking the way I think people tend to run in and hijack that as a way of kind of going after people. And I think in society now, if you have an opinion that asks a question, people automatically jump on you and go, what are you doing? Or you get sidelined and stuff. So I think as a watermark, the Bruce Jenner thing becoming Caitlyn, I think it kind of clouded the issue in a sense that the journey that people take to become a new gender, as it were, it was kind of like glamorized in a sense. He came on Oprah and he was like, he's an American hero and stuff. And I think someone like you is more of a hero in a sense that I'm sure Bruce's journey perhaps wasn't as difficult, arduous. I'm sure it was, but like someone who doesn't have the money, doesn't have the fame, doesn't have this wall enough to hide behind, would go through like yourself. So I think there is this kind of language police now and what we can use, what we can't say. If you ask a question, even if it's not a negative question, people kind of twist that and kind of go after you. So I think you're a great person to talk to. What do you think of this like new like climate? It's almost like the 50s McCarthyist era, isn't it? Reds under the bed. Yeah.
Look, you have to remember, I'm 53 years old. I transitioned over 20 years ago. I'm considered trampa now in the trans community, which is great. I embrace this. And watch. Somebody's going to come along soon and say, that's a derogatory word. You can't use that. I am so against the policing of language. And this is why I am asked to be on shows like yours and why I am asked. Look, and also I am not the representation of any community. I'm a representation of myself and a representation of human beings and humankind and how to become yourself and all these things. And when you start blocking our language, our own community is blocking our language, it actually cripples the growth of how we interact with people like you, who want to have questions, who want things answered. People come to me all the time because they feel comfortable, because I'm not insulted. I can't be insulted. The only way to educate is by letting people ask questions and learn through mistakes, through not understanding. It's how you go to school and you learn. When you raise your hand and you ask the wrong question, does the teacher say to you, "You're an idiot, sit down, shut up," right? No.
Yeah.
The teacher says, this is a great question, let me answer it for you. But if the person continues to not understand or use the derogatory words, then we have to, kind of move forward on that. And say,
I don't think it's trans people that have the issue with it, though. I guess
Yes.
it's kind of it's straight, probably white people who
Yes.
are kind of desperate now to kind of like appear like, oh, we're all encompassing, everything's fine, and they kind of like, it becomes this like Orwellian self-policing thing.
Yes.
But
you've got this. It's dangerous. It's dangerous, my friend, because you cannot say some words, and this is the example I most often use. We have reclaimed a word, queer, right? Everyone's queer now. Even straight people are queer. Queer is this new sort of great umbrella term for not being a straight white man. That said, I know lots of men my age, if not older, gay men who hate that word, and it was used as a derogatory statement for many years. That said, again, why are we allowed to reclaim a word that hurts people when we're not allowed to reclaim another word, such as the word tranny, which many of us our age love the word tranny, and we embrace that word tranny, and we have diffused it from being a bad word. So it's just a mess in a lot of ways.
I didn't ever see it as a bad word, though. I mean, I know lots of people who aren't trans, but I know I've got lots of gay friends who kind of dress up at the weekend and stuff, and they proudly call themselves tranny. And it's like, it's not kind of an issue, but I think it's this kind of like rushing in, this like panic to use the right language constantly. And I think when you control the language, you control the thought, and it stops, like you said, this communication going, not between like, I guess, bigotry in a sense, that it's just something people don't understand. But
I mean, how do we expect to grow as a community? And I'll tell you, it's one of the reasons why I sort of removed myself from being a transgender advocate. I'm a human rights advocate, because I realized I'm not part of that movement. I'm part of the movement for the world. I'm part of the movement for you and me and all of us to become brothers and sisters and to fucking make this world a better place. There's so much war and hate. The last thing we need is that within our own communities. Clearly, you are an ally. You contacted me. You want my voice. You want to learn. That's what I love. That's the connection I want to have with the world. I don't need to fight with you. You know what I mean? I don't need your acceptance on that level. All I need is for you to want to understand me. We understand each other, and we move on, and we continue to make the world a better place. That's it.
No, I think but I think with any kind of like social issue, it's strange because people are afraid to ask questions. I mean, but you've kind of like flipped it in a sense that you're all accepting of things. I think when one group fights for itself, which of course that's your interest, but when you exclude any other point of view or any other kind of group, like you said, you become a humanist, and that can cover racism, sexuality, transgender issues and stuff.
Yes.
You're the bridge to that gap, and I think a lot of people are leaders within, other groups, not just for transgender, for anything. It kind of like, it becomes compartmentalized, and it's
dangerous. It's dangerous, my friend. It's dangerous. Again, remember, I transitioned 20 years ago. My God, there was no internet. I didn't have the internet. That always gets people when I do my lectures. I had no internet. I had to go to the bookstore. I had to really do so many things to be able to be this person. And now, fast forward to today, a lot of this younger generations has so much privilege, and they turn around and they slap me in the face. And I feel very disrespected on many levels from a lot of the new trans people that are coming in and saying, like, you can't use tranny, you can't be this, we don't, we have to rename, biological people to cisgender. We have to come up with a new word. All you're doing is boxing everything back. I've worked so hard to take everything out of a box. The man with the vagina, the man with the pussy never existed before me. Now there's millions of me, millions of men who are transgender men are saying, I'm a man with a pussy. That did not exist because I broke down that barrier.
It's just this generation. It's like I said, it's just that panic to kind of appear holier than thou and better than everyone else. And like you said, even within the same group, it kind of like, it muddies the waters and destroys the actual cause you're all fighting for. I'm surprised that a younger generation would criticize you, considering what you're trying to do.
Are you kidding? Within my community, there's so much envy and jealousy, and there's these things called passing privilege, which means that I pass as a man, and it's not a good thing. And I'm like, where is that coming from? The whole idea of my whole life is I wanted to be this guy. This is what you think this body is easy? I have to work out every day. I can't eat ice cream and cookies. You know what I mean? Like, I work to be this person.
You need to check your white privilege, Buck.
Exactly.
We all do.
100% I have white privilege. 100% I have white man privilege. Believe me, I know it. And I use it. I use it to make change. I don't use it to just lay back and smoke a cigar and have a lot of women at my house. You know, I use it to make change.
Do you get a lot of friction from the academic community? Because you've gone into like public speaking now.
No, they love me. The academic community loves me. And in fact, in a way, I'm sort of like their guinea pig. You know what I mean? I come there and they look at me like I'm a specimen. It's hilarious because I'm not schooled. I didn't even graduate high school. I'm not an academic, far from it. You know what I mean? I'm just not an academic, but they love me and they embrace me and they realize I'm bringing something good to the world.
What was it like growing up? Like before all this kind of like, before the porn, before what you're into now, obviously like public speaking, self-motivation.
Yeah.
What does a transgender person go through as a child? When do you know there's something, not something wrong, but something different about you, that something you feel you need to change? Is it an internal thing? Is it just a thought in the head? Is it like an urge inside? I mean, how does one explain it? Is everyone's like journey the same inside or no?
No way. None of our journeys are the same. Though we do meet at some point, I would say. For myself, I always just felt like a boy. Never was an issue, right? We have in the United States tomboys, right? What we call tomboys. And
we got
little girls who look like boys. Yeah. And then eventually everyone says, oh, you're going to grow out of it. It's just a phase, blah, blah, blah. I never grew out of it. And I continued to feel like a man or a boy as I was going through puberty. And I had a hell of a time being in the female body until I could figure out how to transition. Now, we have so many, everyone has a different journey. Some people don't discover that they're trans until, let's use the example of Caitlyn Jenner. She didn't realize she was trans, or she hid it for so many years because she felt that she couldn't become open with it. Some of us are able to transition early on. Some of us don't realize it forever. Some people, again, all of our journeys are totally different.
I think it's probably more of a mental disturbance living with the Kardashians, yes. I think.
Right. I love you, man. You're awesome.
Getting sidelined. What have I got left to do? I don't know. Maybe I can outshine Kim. Yeah, I don't know. It's... what is the feeling inside then? When does this begin? Is it 4 or 5 years old for you? When do you know that you're different?
Well, I mean, I went to psychiatrists. My parents sent me to therapists. They're like, because I kept saying I'm a man. They're like, no, you're a girl. I mean, they put me in a psychiatric hospital. I tried to kill myself. This was back in the day when they, I equated it a lot to early alcoholism, right? In the 50s when they would think you were crazy and they put you in a mental institution. It's the same with me. They just thought I was crazy and they didn't understand. And so, that's why I keep saying that the people today have so much privilege. You can say, I'm transgender, and you don't even have to do anything other than go to a doctor and start taking hormones, which that's a dangerous thing in itself. We don't even have to go.
Is it concerned for you that it's perhaps like, because it's now a buzzword in a sense, do a lot of people jump on the bandwagon who may not be actually transgender and just want to be part of something? Yeah. Because that's one question I wanted to ask. Like, if someone's maybe they're confused about their sexuality and then think they're trans and go through all these like operations thinking it's for them, having everything removed or not removed or put on.
Right. Yeah, it's dangerous because I don't know. I can't even answer that because everyone transitions for a reason. And I'm not transgender. I'm actually a transsexual, which is totally different than a transgender. I was born woman, female, and I wanted to become a man. And that's a transsexual person. Basically, I still fit in the binary. I wanted to be a man. That's exactly how I want to live my life. The transgender movement is more people who feel that they're in the wrong body, but don't necessarily want to transition to be binary male or female and live under the umbrella of transgender. I'm not a trans person. That's not my identity. So the trans identity is something very new. and very much that I think that people don't want to fit specifically in the box of male or female, but they want to be more fluid. And then the other thing is sexuality, which is totally different than gender, right? And I think people tend to merge those things together and think that they're the same when they're not the same.
Why keep the original equipment then? Why keep the pussy? Is it something you want to keep, or if technology was kind of different, would you kind of have the works, as they say?
I would have 100%. I would have got a penis. 100%. I wanted to have a penis. 20 years ago. But 20 years ago, they didn't do the surgery correctly, and so there came a point in my life where I just realized I can't have that penis surgery. It is not what I want. Not functioning properly for me. It's expensive. All the things that. I just knew that it would be a big mistake if I did it, and so it's really
I couldn't find. I mean, it must have been harder for you back then studying it, but even now with the internet, it's very difficult to find anywhere on the internet a kind of a trans operation where they create a penis.
Yes, it's very difficult. And so with that said, also, I just met a man who had some penis surgery done, and I'm going to meet him next month to film him. He'll be the first trans man in my movies with a penis. So you'll be able to actually see him, masturbating and talking about it and watching it live. It'll be the first one ever.
Does it even work, though? Because the one I saw was just horrific. And at the end, it wasn't like the best job in the world. It's like a poison monkey dick. It didn't, they had to kind of pump it up to make it work and stuff. And it was kind of... Surely if you wait like 5 or 10 years, there'll be some kind of like gene therapy. They can actually grow on the back of a mouse and just nail it on.
I know that's what they're hoping for, and I sure hope that it will help some of the men. But back to my work is basically telling people that you don't need to have a penis to become a man. It is not something necessary. If you want to do it because you feel like you need it, you should be able to do it. But it should never be something that defines that you as a male. You should never be forced into having that surgery at all. And let's hope that eventually it will be that easy. They'll grow it on the back of a mouse, take it off, put it on you, and you're done.
Well, I think in like 50 years, you'll just be able to I fancy being a woman for a week, and then you'll just go through some kind
of... Actually, that would be amazing, because that would so surely change the world.
Oh no, it definitely would. So let's go back. You're at school. You're good at athletics, like I saw in the documentary.
Yeah.
And you seem to be in this like eternal battle with your parents. Like they thought you were crazy, right? How did this kind of like?
Yeah,
the craziness.
Yeah, my parents are amazing. Come on. I was a 16-year-old kid on drugs and alcohol, cutting myself and trying to kill myself. My poor parents, they went through hell. They didn't know what to do. You don't get a book when you're a parent, right? You just become a parent, and then you have a bad kid, and then your kid is like, I'm a man, and you're like, what? And my parent, now today, fast forward, my parents are unbelievably amazing, loving. They call me their son. I'm Buck. They invite me. Because this is what I really want that message to your listeners to get to them, and this is a universal message, is because I became myself for me. Whatever that is, if it would have been my sexuality, my gender, I just want to date this type of person. You have to be strong and understand that if people don't accept you in your life, you don't have to have them. And I told my parents that. This is who I am. This is who I'm going to be. You can have me in your life or you cannot. And then they accepted that, and it just became amazing.
Sure. So you when did you start to transition? When was the operation? You were 22, 20. How old were you?
No, I was in my late 20s. I'm 53 now.
Sure.
So it was a long time ago, and no one even, I was actually, both of my doctors, my hormone doctor, my testosterone doctor, and my surgeon, my top surgery, I was both their very first trans man. And my hormone doctor said, basically, he told me I'm going to be his guinea pig. He's like, I don't know what I'm doing. You're going to be my guinea pig. And I'm like, whoa. Okay.
How long did it take to actually find those doctors that were willing to take it on? Were most like going, I'm not going to touch that. How did it work? Is it an issue?
Yeah, the bookstore in West Hollywood, again, the bookstore saved my life. I found a magazine that was specifically for transgender women. And I said, well, I'm the opposite of that. And then I found a doctor who only dealt with transgender women, men to women. And I went to him, and he said, you're my guinea pig. I've never done this. I've been doing it for 30 years. I'm more than happy to experiment with you. And I didn't have a choice, my friend. I didn't have a choice. I knew either I'm going to kill myself or I'm going to do this. And I took the chance, because I kept saying, if it doesn't work for me, I'll just kill myself. That was sort of like my mantra, right? I was like, if it doesn't work, I'll kill myself. What a crazy thing to have to say.
When you woke up from this surgery, did you feel you'd taken the right step? Was there a panic of like, this might go wrong and I might become some kind of like somewhere in between. They've not made the surgery correct. It's in its infancy, if you will. Like, was there a kind of worry there?
You know, the more worry for me was the testosterone, because I didn't know how. I didn't get to see any pictures on Google. I didn't get to see how.
It was just the breast that was surgically removed, right?
Yeah, that's it.
And
but before I got that, I had to start taking hormones. So I took testosterone for 2 years, and that totally changed my whole body. You saw the documentary where you could see me as a female, and you could see I looked totally different. Everything you see except my chest surgery is specifically from taking testosterone, from injecting testosterone. And so, you know, I started looking weird, actually. I was like, I'm looking weird. Like, everything is morphing, and, like, you know, I went through a weird looking stage, and I got a little bit nervous from that. But with the surgery, I woke up from surgery, man, and I was like, my life is about to change. I knew it, because I hated my boobs so much, and now I can walk around the whole world without my shirt on. It's just the most amazing feeling.
Did the psychology change with the adding of the testosterone? Did it some kind of click into place more in your head that you felt more male? Did that help? Did it change the male kind of psychology as well, the adding of the testosterone?
100% it did. I most definitely think differently. I most definitely lost some of my emotional feelings, where I tended to be more emotional in a sense. I would cry easier, and I don't necessarily think that's a good thing, because I think crying is very important as a man. But that, you know, and I feel like my
have you become like you started off as a 1950s man, and then you've kind of become more emotional like the 1980s man, who's trying to be more understanding, and now here we are, and you kind of it's all like falling into place now.
I'm like, wah, you hurt my feelings. I can't say tranny. No, I'm not that bad, but I will sock you in the face.
So about after the surgery and stuff, how long did it take on the test to start changing? Did the body change for the better? Because you said in the documentary you started having to work out and watch what you ate, because like the weight would go on in strange places, like unevenly.
Yes.
How many years?
Yeah, that's what happens. Like, your weight, again, I'm so new to this. Nobody was telling me anything. And I started to feel my stomach started to get fat the way a man's stomach kind of, you know, men get weight distribution differently than women. And I started noticing, and like, I'm like, oh my God, I cannot become like this dude. I want to be, you know, I want to look like G.I. Joe. So that's when I really started getting into my fitness and really just changing my body. And that was really a big turning point for me, when I really started to see my muscles come out and be much more hyper masculine. That was amazing.
Has it had any issues for any remaining female physicality? You have periods, yes or no? Or
no. First, like, pretty much 1 month into taking testosterone, everything shut down. But there's a little story behind that. So as I am going through testosterone, again, no one knowing how it's going to affect my body, fast forward 15 years into testosterone, 18 years into testosterone, I started getting weird crampy feeling in my lower abdomen, and I hadn't had a hysterectomy because they kept telling me, you don't need a hysterectomy. Well, what happened was everything atrophied because of the testosterone, and I got super sick, and I got an infection, which you can see in the documentary, and I had to have emergency surgery. I mean, I almost died because of that, because they didn't know. That was the only that has been the only really destructive thing that has happened to my body from the testosterone, was just that.
So if you stop taking it now, what would you remain the same, or you transition back, or would you still keep the body hair? How would it work?
I would probably start crying. Just kidding. You know what? Everything you see right here is not going to change. Sure. Like, all my hair, my bald. The only thing that's going to happen is I'll probably lose muscle mass. You know what I mean? And I'll probably lose that. I might start getting emotional more. But other
has
than
your taste in movies and things changed, or books, or music, or like, do you like cars more now than you perhaps would? I mean, has any of that changed at all?
No, because I did like all of that before. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think a lot of that is socially constructed and done through, you know, I grew up with my dad, who was very macho, and I grew up on motorcycles and playing sports. And my dad, I have two sisters, and we're all very masculine. We were all masculine women. So I think a lot of the masculinity came from, you know, learning that from my father, most definitely.
Yeah. What were your teenage years like, with all this stuff swirling around in your head?
Horrible. I hated life. I was very shy.
Because teens are tough. Yeah, it's tough for most people, isn't it? But I guess for a trans person, it's just it's on steroids, if you pardon the pun.
It was horrible. It was horrible, because really I've never felt comfortable, because then I felt like a lesbian, right? Because I was a woman still, and I started sexually being interested in women, and you're supposed to be into men, and I wasn't into men, I was into women. And so back in the 70s when I grew up and I was a lesbian, it was horrible. I got teased all the time. I got in a lot of fights. I didn't graduate high school because I just couldn't finish school because I was just a mess. I was drugs and alcohol. So pretty much from the end of high school all the way to I started transitioning, which was my late 20s. Nothing was good. I was homeless. I was prostituting. I was on drugs. I was suicidal.
Was there no in terms to escape, like culturally? Were there any like clubs around where you grew up and stuff that you could go to, like gay clubs and things?
Yeah, I used to go to clubs all the time and just remember amyl nitrate? I don't know
poppers.
Poppers. I used to live for poppers, man. Like I have brain damage for sure, and I would go dancing for 3-4 nights all night, never leave the club. You know what I mean? It was sort of like taking acid and snorting cocaine and just going into the world of not having to think about it.
Because like here in London, it's like, I think crystal meth is like the big thing on the gay scene now, and that's like super destructive.
Here too.
Yeah.
What? It's crazy.
What's the next, like, I don't know. It's, I've got lots of friends that are kind of like, were doing it. I was like, what are you doing, dude? Just, if you're going to go out and party, just stick to pills or something. Like, don't get crazy.
Like, smoke some weed. Yeah, like crystal meth is a killer. Like, there's no coming back. I was a meth head. Like, there's no coming back from that. That stuff will eat you up. But again, here in the United States.
Why would it be embraced by the gay scene? Is it just, like...
It's a sex drug. It's a sex drug. It makes people feel horny and sexual, and they want to have sex. And so it's very much prevalent within the gay community because of that.
Yeah, it's a bit worrying. Like, no one's kind of come off the worst for it. I mean, this was back then, but all my gay friends were kind of doing that stuff. So I was just like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? It's like...
Good for you. Thank you for saying that, because really it's not funny. It's gross and it's disgusting. And, I'm not anti-drugs if you're not an addict. Like, I don't care. But, you do drugs responsibly.
Yeah.
You can have a good time, and there's a way to do it. And you know what? Like, I'm not preaching be sober. Like, no, but be responsible. I will never say meth is a good drug. It is not. I'm not saying coke is a good drug or ecstasy, but there's ways to do things. Meth will never. Once you start doing meth, you're screwed. You're not going to be able to stop. It's horrible.
Why did you start doing it? Was it just an escape from yourself?
Yes. Which is why those guys are doing it. It's an escape, and they don't feel comfortable in their bodies sexually, and they feel like they need to be in some other place to be able to, have sex with another man. And for me too, I wasn't happy with who I was. I hated life. I wanted to be this guy you see here. But I was that girl, right? That model girl who hated being that person. And everyone always telling me, oh, you're so beautiful.
Why the transition into porn then? Was that something you wanted to do because you felt you needed to make a statement, or you started doing it and then went, hang on, I could be a voice for like a generation in a sense? Like, why the porn? How did the parents feel about that?
Well, my parents, at this time I had told them that I'm doing it, they never said anything other than, if that makes you happy and you're making money, good for you. I was like, wow. I can't believe my white Republican straight parents are like, go ahead and do porn. And with that, I have to say, porn made me who I am.
I suppose they couldn't stop you. I think you're so determined to do everything up to that point. They're like, what can we do about it? Go for it.
What can we do? He was almost dead on the streets, so like, at least he's alive. But
yeah, we've got buck off.
Yeah.
Even more bang for your buck.
Yep.
Buck back mountain. Do you still do it?
Yeah. Well, I don't so much act anymore.
You've just run out of puns, I guess. There's no more puns to play on buck, so I guess you couldn't do any more adult films.
I mean, come on, it's the best porn name ever.
But you still direct.
I'm directing and producing my Sexing the Trans Man porn docu. It's a porn docu-series where I document the men and their change, and then I talk about their sexuality, and then I have them do a sex scene for me. So that's been a huge hit for me. It's really great.
Well, you embraced initially, I guess, at the start when you started that journey into porn. What was the reaction from the industry? Because, I mean, you can go on and you can type in anything to Google. You can find a man having sex with a horse. Trans porn is like everywhere prevalent, but it's always like a chick with a dick, essentially.
Right.
You walk into, I guess, a distribution house with, I guess, whatever you've made or the plan to do it. What was the reaction initially to kind of you just walking in as, I guess, Buck Angel, the butchest dude ever?
They hated me and they freaked out on me, which is really, I always tell this story because the adult industry that I embrace and love and think it's a great industry. I have many friends in it. They hated me at first, and they were so freaked out by me, and they didn't know what to do with me, and they were like, ew, 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 we don't want anything to do with you. And I was thinking, this is so strange. There's clown porn, there's 500-man gangbang porn, and not to make any judgments, not at all. Right.
Peanut butter farts, cake farts.
Right, I'm just the man with the pussy. What's the big deal? But 3 years into it, man, it just made me push for more. And then I won the biggest award in the industry. And that just flipped everybody. And everyone now just embraces my work. So it's just how it is when you're a pioneer with anything. You know how it is. It's just how it is.
Well, it helps you transcend, I guess, to this kind of like new level of becoming a spokesperson. And as we said, you've kind of like taken the slings and arrows, I guess, from both sides, from your own, the industry, the porn industry, from other trans people, straight people trying to say and do the right things.
But that's how it is as an activist, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. Not everyone's ever going to like you. Not everyone's ever going to like what you have to say.
Just hearing it from your own community, they're attacking you as well. I think that's really fascinating. Why?
Envy. I think envy and jealousy. I really do. People, because it's the things they say to me sometimes, it's like, but that comes from your own personal stuff, my friend. That has nothing to do with me and my voice. And then I always tell people this: if you don't like my voice, make your own voice. I do not represent you, right? So when they come down on me and they say, well, you shouldn't have told that guy that's saying the word tranny, I said, yes, I should, because I believe that. If you want to give another message, help yourself and make yourself a voice, right? Make yourself a voice, but don't complain about the other people who have a voice and who are making change, which is what I'm doing. And so I don't really care. They can go and move over to the other side. I don't really care. I'll walk right over you.
How do people react to you if they don't know you and they find out what you are? That
people are amazing to me. People are okay. So, for example, I travel the world and I go to the gym when I travel, and I go in the gym and I work out, and then I take a shower like every other man takes a shower, and I walk around in my flip flops and my sandals with no towel like every other man, and men just look at me. I think they think I have a small penis.
Actually, I showed. I said what episode I was doing today to my mother and my sister, and I sent them a picture of you. They're like, he's just got a really small dick. I went, no, look again. I'd say, well, I was going to ask you this. I've seen lots of like female bodybuilders on documentaries, and they've kind of got like giant clits. You've not really got one like that from doing all the tests.
Not that big. Why... Actually, when it's erect, because it gets erect, it will actually get erect like a penis. So actually, when I do become erect, it's pretty big. But yeah, because they're shooting a lot of testosterone. I don't shoot anywhere near the level of testosterone. You cannot be 250 pounds and slammed like that without taking a lot of steroids. And so that's why we grow down there. It's the testosterone that's, when we're babies and we're embryos in the stomach, we are both male and female until some point when you go the other way. So the clit is actually a penis at some point. So until
I guess the ovaries drop down and become testicles if you're a male,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So who watches the porn? What's the biggest market for you? Is it like trans people, gay men, straight people? What's the biggest?
Gay men. Gay men were always the people that came to me. That
even though you've got no junk yet.
Yeah, and it says a lot about sexuality, because really gay men, I mean, of course, not all gay men. There's some gay men who think I'm disgusting, and but the majority of the gay men who really like my work or who are attracted to me, basically they understand that they're attracted to masculinity, and they're not attracted to genitals. They're attracted to masculinity. And then when I explain it's just another hole, then they're like, oh, I mean, men have been amazing to me, but I would say that my fan base has really changed a lot in the last 2 years, and women, bi women, straight women, gay women, all have become huge fans of my work. So
what's your sexual orientation? Because you have sex with men and women in the videos, so you're bisexual.
Yeah, I'm bisexual. Okay. Totally, 100% bisexual. Yes.
Wow.
I like everybody. Like, for me, it's about people. It's about my desire to connect with somebody sexually and the energy. It's not, and it's true. I'm truly bisexual. I can meet a woman and be like so attracted to her, and the next day I can meet a man and be like super attracted to them too. And so it's never. I don't feel I feel very lucky to be bisexual on a lot of levels.
So why have you stopped starring in the films now? Is it because you've taken more of a senatorial role politically, I guess? So it is.
Yeah, and also because I don't want to be the face, I don't want to be the only trans male actor. I want to bring a lot of guys in. There's some more guys coming, but not enough. And so I feel like I need to move over and really make an effort to bring more guys in. There's a new, I won't do a scene until it's something that I feel is going to be groundbreaking and just really push the boundaries of the porn market, because I've done everything. The only thing I haven't done is a straight film. Like, I haven't done a movie with a straight woman in a scene. So if that ever comes, I will do that. But other than that, there's nothing that I haven't done. So I don't need to keep doing porn, and I don't really care about doing it. I care about directing.
Has the internet damaged the porn industry in a sense? So especially your brand, that you can go on YouPorn now and you can find all your stuff there for free and not pay for it. I mean, it's affected the regular industry. Is that one of the reasons why you think? Does that damage the brand?
It totally destroyed the porn industry and our money, and we don't make nearly the kind of money. So you have to find other ways to make money.
So I guess pre-internet, you'd be a multimillionaire now, because you'd be the one and only. You'd corner the market.
Exactly, but it doesn't matter because people just steal my stuff and put it up. I can't keep up with it. So I just let it go, and I realized I'm the man that always tries to look at the glass half full, and I just realized, well, if people are stealing my movies now where they didn't do it 2 years ago, that means I'm more popular, and that means people want to see my work, and that means I just got to restructure how I can make money from people stealing my work. So I'm realizing how to do that now.
How are you treated how are you treated by the media? Because you're on Tyra Banks, and you thought you were going on there to kind of like talk deeply about gender dysphoria, and they kind of made it a kind of Victorian freak show in a sense, didn't they? They just gave you like your 6 minutes, and then you were off, and then they lined you all up and stuff. Did that upset you?
They lied to me. They lied to me. They said, oh, we're going to do a whole show about you and blah, blah. Because Tyra's been trying to get me on for years. And I was like, no, you're going to try to make me into a freak. I don't need to go on your show. So they ended up lying to me and say they're going to do a whole show. And I walk in and I go on stage and it says sexual oddities on the sign when I'm like, what? And they pushed me on stage. And there I am with Tyra, and she's like, totally, you have a pussy. I mean, you have a vagina, blah, blah, blah. But then I remember in the documentary how I just totally nailed her when I said, you don't like your vagina? And she was like, remember, she was completely freaked out by her vagina. And I'm like, I just busted you on national television, like a woman who doesn't even like her vagina. But it says a lot about women. And, women are taught not to like their vaginas, like how men are taught to really love their penises, and women don't have the same luxury.
I think in America as well, it's a lot more kind of, there's still that puritanical element attached to sex and sexuality. There's a lot of scandal attached to it. You can't say what you like. You can't say what you're into. Porn, even though everyone is obsessed by it and watches it regardless, it's kind of like it's the elephant in the room in a sense.
Yeah, it is. It's the dirty little secret, and it's like everyone watches it. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Why is everybody acting like it doesn't exist? Or you know what I mean? Like it's just ridiculous. And why I will never ever remove myself from the pornography industry or remove myself from sex, because I believe that it is really my message in the world is when you become sexually comfortable in your body, everything changes. It doesn't matter. Like, you have to understand that your body and learning to love your body first is just a huge game changer for so many reasons. It just is.
Did you see that? Maybe you've seen it. The documentary I sent you, the Louis Theroux one on transgender kids.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that yet. But thanks for sending me that.
Yeah, the central question of that basically is how old should you be before you can decide? Essentially, I mean, what do you think about that? Because the children they show on there are like under 10 years old, and one of them's dressing up like a little girl and acting like very feminine. I would just say probably he's a bit fruity and gay. He's a bit fabulous.
So is that right on? So is that what the film is about? Is a film about?
Yeah, it's children. But then they asked the parents like, how old should they be when they transition? They said whenever they want to. But I think even growing up, perhaps at least wait till you're 21, or not like 14 or 15.
No, that's a little old. For me, look, it's a difficult question to answer. It really is, because I suffered a lot as a young adult, and if I would have transitioned at 16, it might have been a different story, and I might be a different guy. But I do embrace my horrible past, because my horrible past has made me.
It's what makes you who you are.
But I don't think everybody needs to embrace their horrible past. And I think now with technology and the fact that we are able to, what we do now a lot in the United States and also in your country is we do hormone blockers at an early age. And the great thing about hormone blockers is you're not actually giving hormones, you're actually blocking hormones. So you're blocking puberty. So now you can wait until maybe 13 or 14, and little Johnny wants to be little, Julie, then maybe he's going to change his mind. And then all you have to do is stop the hormone blockers, and puberty will go and everything is fine. So it's a very difficult question to answer, and I think it's a person-to-person case. I do think what I want to talk to you about is I do think it's very dangerous in the United States. We have removed mental health from the sort of guidelines of starting transitioning. And I believe that mental health is the most important part of transitioning. And if you're not doing any mental health work, but you're just shooting hormones, that's the biggest mistake you can make, I believe so, in the transition process.
What's the process if you were doing it? Is everyone's story different? You have to kind of live as the gender you want to be for so long before they give you hormones, and then they kind of do the operation? Because I thought back in the day, that's what it was. If you wanted to become a woman from being a man, I think you had to like dress as a woman for so many years. You had to kind of have psychological counseling. Yeah, you'd have to, you'd have to live the life essentially before they kind of did anything to you. What's it like now?
And that's the best thing you could do. That's what I had to do. Like, I'm telling you, I feel so grounded and amazing because I worked on my engine, right? The brain is your engine to your car, and you don't paint your car and change the wheels and put new upholstery in it until you fix that engine and you make sure that engine is perfectly purring and running. And that's what mental health is. Mental health is going to the garage and fixing your engine. So if they've eliminated fixing your mental health and all you're doing is fixing the outside, what's going to happen, right? You're not going to be okay because everything isn't going to work okay. So they've removed that process, part of the transition. I am very upset about it. I am very upset about it because...
Well, maybe that's the next step for you to kind of like get this out there, that people need psychological counseling as part and parcel before, during, and after the surgery.
It is exactly what I'm doing. I'm actually speaking all across the world about it, and I get pushback from my trans community because a lot of the trans community doesn't think it's important to do mental health because they think when you go to a therapist or a psychiatrist or a psychologist,
they'll just say you're crazy.
Yes, exactly. And then they're saying that, they're going to make the choice whether or not you get to that. No, that's not true. They're going to help you to sort of move on and figure out, is this the right thing for you? Or is it the...
Do you think that, though? Do you not think a lot of therapists, depending on their own bigotry or their own like limited view of the world, they might go, well, maybe you're, because America, I've been to America many times, and when you switch on the TV, any problem can be solved with a pill.
True. True. So it's the same with taking hormones, right? Yeah. No, your problem isn't going to be solved with hormones. And so again, that said, I'm not advocating for the system, like your NHS system, right? I'm not advocating for them to appoint a specific therapist. That's dangerous because that specific therapist can then use their own agenda and say, you're not really trans, you're just da-da-da-da-da. I'm saying that we need to have a variety of them, and you should be able to make your own choice in who you want to see and who you don't want to see. There should not be one specific person or that can make or say that you are trans. I'm not at all. That is very dangerous. But what I am saying is you should have to go through a year or so of psychological counseling before you even decide to do hormones.
I think I guess you need more maybe there are some out there, like a trans psychologist who actually is a trans person.
Yes.
Not to train people, there is a trans person. Are there any trans people that are medics, psychologists, doctors and things? Are there any
Yes, a lot. There's a lot more trans psychologists that are coming out right now. I'm actually working with one who I'm writing a book now on trans sex. There's no book about trans sex. Like basically it's questions, answers, how, if you decided that you wanted to date a trans woman or a trans man, you might want to know some certain things sexually about them, like how to ask questions, how to, navigate bodies, how to have just a conversation. And so that book doesn't exist. So I've met a therapist in San Francisco, a psychologist, and I'm writing a book with her about how she's a transgender psychologist.
What's the next step for you then, before we kind of wrap up, I guess? What are your next goals? Because you do public speaking. You're coming to England, are you? Is it August?
Yeah, I'm there a lot. I go there at least 2 or 3 times a year. I'll be there in August to perform at the Box in Soho, and then also...
Oh, okay, I've been there.
Yeah, all right, yeah, right on. Yeah, I performed there. I was just there in January performing. And
shit, man, tell me the next time I go, I'll come and see you.
You're going to come and see me. You're going to be my guest.
Well, I go to a club... like loads of my friends, they call Torture Garden, which is a kind of fetish club, but a lot of the kind of performers, they take from there, like perform at the box and stuff. So
yeah, no, I'm great friends with David, the guy who started Torture
David
Goddess.
TG.
I've known him for 20 years.
Weirdly, we know a bunch of the same people then, I think.
I'm sure we do.
What a small world, Buck.
Totally. So that's it. I'm just traveling, speaking, trying to make change, my friend. I have some really great new things coming out, like the book, and some new projects that I can't really talk to you about now because we haven't press released it yet, but I'll send you an email when it comes out.
Action movie.
Something really cool is happening.
You need to do a mainstream Hollywood trans action movie.
Can you imagine? Actually, you know, the funny thing is mainstream Hollywood won't touch me. They won't touch me. None of the voice of the trans community that's in Hollywood, they don't want anything to do with me. They want no talk about sex. Because I talk about sex, and they don't want to talk about sex. And they want to be normal. They want to be normal, whatever. Like normal people don't talk about sex. It's weird.
I think that's just an American thing. Like maybe the Puritanism extends into the gay community or the trans community as well.
Of course it does, and that's why I work 100% more over there in Europe. Europe embraces my message and embraces my sexuality.
No, I think it's great what you're doing. Yes. You are this kind of bridge between, I guess, my world and the gay world, the trans world, everything. I'm just so shocked that you get so much friction from groups and people, and you're easy to talk to.
I know, it's funny,
right?
It's because of my pornography. Like, it's like I have a big light right here that says porno, 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 like stay away. That's totally what it is. But you know what? Like I said before, it doesn't matter. The pornography is a very important educational tool for me, and I use it as my activism. And
I think it's education for many people growing up, because I guess you get sex education rudimentarily in school, but it's always rubbish. It doesn't deal with anything kind of like the social ins and outs, if you'll forgive the pun, and now all these kind of new social issues. A lot of people get their education from watching porn. I mean, that's the way kind of did it.
So some of us have to really make really good porn to be able to understand that some people are using it as sex education.
So Buck, that's so cool. But it's really great talking to you. I think you're the easiest guest I've had to talk to so far.
Wow, right on.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. We know kind of the same circles as well. So hit me up when you come back here again.
I will. I'll be there in August. Maybe Sexhibition. I might be doing a show at Sexhibition and then at the box. So I will do that for sure.
You should contact the Oxford Union and do like a speaking thing.
Yeah, I tried to do that, but I don't have any connections. If you have any connections to any other universities,
I don't. But why would you need to? You're Buck Angel. I'm just Ethan.
I know, but it's a huge, difficult thing to get into the speaking world.
You've got a bigger dick to swing than I have in the world of media.
Right on. I have a bigger vagina than you.
Wow, you have. Well, you're more manly than I am. Look at this. What are you taping out to? That's nothing.
I'll take you to the gym when I come.
The bump's meant to be on the top, not the bottom.
Right on.
But yeah, Buck, so good to talk to you, man. If you want to come back and talk about anything else, or you got something coming up, a scoop, let me know. It's really cool to talk to you.
Cool, my friend. Thank you.
Buck Angel, the man with the pussy. Ethan McKinley, the man with the podcast. What can I say? I love you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, my friend.
See you soon, brother.
Okay. Thanks so much for reaching out and putting me on your show. I really appreciate it very much.
Well, no, it is. It's an interesting issue, I think, for a lot of people. But people are afraid to ask questions. I think, from my point of view, people are terrified to go, what's okay to say? What's not okay to say? Gay, bisexual, trans. Are you oppressing anyone? If you go tranny, can you say this? Can you say that? It's
right.
We live in strange times when you're not allowed to kind of talk anymore.
It's not okay. And it's why I'm really trying to figure out a way for me to put myself out there where people like yourself or you, whoever can come to me and say, dear Buck, I have this question, but I feel very uncomfortable asking it because I feel like, no. I mean, I'm the man you can ask any question to, and I'm not offended by. So I think somehow I'm going to put myself out there for people to start sending me questions that they feel they can't ask anybody else. And then, we can open the dialogue. You have to be able to ask the question or things aren't going to change.
Yeah. No, well, I hope this dialogue we've had will kind of help that.
I think so. That's why I thank you very much for letting me speak to your listeners.
Thank you.
Somebody will change from it. Somebody will get something and somebody will be a changed person from it. So thank you, my friend.
Brother, it's been great. Thank you.
Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Bye.
Let's go. 8, 7, looking great. Come on. Remember to get water if you need to.
Oh yeah, I love my pervert tattoo.
Woo.
A lot of people read it different. They don't read it as pervert, they read it as perfect, which is sort of embarrassing.
8,
touch with your sexuality is what a pervert is to me.
I think that the fact that they actually put a full nude photo of me is awesome because it just is in your face. Because with pants on, I just look like a dude.
Actually, how did you start into this sort of porn business?
It just like came like a light bulb, boom, like, dude, nobody is making transsexual male porn. I really believe I was chosen to do this.
And God spoke to you through a burning something or other.
It's totally insane. Hey, I'm Buck Angel.
He looks good open, or looks you, because you know you usually have like
That is a
some
lot.
skin showing.
Yeah, I do.
He needs the porn awards.
I saw my picture. Like I almost started to cry and I was like, I was screaming for myself. I feel like a star.
You are a star.
I think with my sisters, we always wanted to achieve this approval with our dad. He was sort of like God of the family. I didn't see my future. I don't know, it was very dismal for me.
We didn't know. We didn't know what to do.
I wrote Buck out of my life.
And there was like a bottle of pills, and then I just took them all. And most 16-year-old girls are hanging out with other girls and whatever they do. I don't even know what 16-year-old girls do because I wasn't doing it.
He can be a target of hate and of anti-sex, anti-porn, anti-trans propaganda.
I know this is a really touchy issue.
But he continues to just keep going. It's like there's no stopping him.
I like my vagina.
Wait, you like your vagina?
I love my vagina. Yes. Do you love your vagina?
No. That's all right.
It hasn't been easy for people to take me serious as someone who has something important to say because of being a porn star, but it's okay.
I'm gonna break through, I will. I promise you I'll break through.